And I want to say hello to all of you. I am here. I'm actually live. I am Maria Elena Duran. How many of you this is your first time in a session with me? Just put the number 1 in the chat box. I would love to know. Perfect. Welcome, Alyssa, Michelle. Hello, Marcus. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. You'll find that I am super fast paced. That's why I like to be able to bring that recording to you so you can slow me down, speed me up, and go to the sections of the session that you really want to focus on. I like to keep it highly interactive, so that chat box is super important to be able for me to hear you. That's the only place that I can hear you. You will get a recording later today, as I said, and the copy of the slides and the handout, but you can access those right now in the chat. Right there is where you can get that at that link. Now, I'd like to welcome you here today. I come to you with a very specific small business background. So I've been in small business and actually remote since 2004, before it was sexy and everybody thought that you were just at home hanging around having ice cream. That is not the case, as we know now from 2020. So I've been actively involved in digital marketing for the last 15 years. I've ran an international e-commerce store, and I'm building another international e-commerce store. So I am in the trenches. I know what it's like to be butcher, baker, candlestick maker in your business, as well as still take care of customers, decide on product, decide whether or not you're going to go to a new country, have to call warehouses to see what are all the taxes and get with an accountant and a taxing firm there within another country, because it's a whole lot different than what we do here in the USA, or even as we expand out to other states from state to state, it's a little bit different. So I'd like to welcome everybody here. I've got that practical experience. In fact, I've earned the Texas Governor's Excellence in Small Business Award, but I've also been on the Google team for the last 7 years, helping small businesses to be able to navigate and to do what they need to do in practical terms. So applying what is actually happening and how we can really make bank on it, because we are small businesses that can be nimble. So welcome here. I'm excited that everybody is here, and thank you so much for using that chat box. We're going to talk about how you can go global with Google's Market Finder. All right. If you've used Google's Market Finder before in the chat, just put the letter Y there that you've used it before. I'd love to know who's actually used it. Anything small business, if you'll use that blue link right there in the middle, that will get you to everything Google Small Business. And of course, you can connect with me, Maria Elena Duran. You can see me on X. That's that first handle you see there, at Maria, MARIADURON, or at Marketing Coach Maria on Instagram. So the first one is X or Twitter. The second is Instagram. And I want to say thank you to our amazing Google partners who make this happen, because they are truly the ones who are there to help you. So think of who invited you here to this session. Who invited you? Because if you have any questions afterwards, they have the team. They are vested in your success. They truly do know who your local resources are. And I'm about doing small business and local business, because I know what actually feeds and actually grows a community. And it's important for you to support your local small business. They can give you referrals and recommendations, and they know who you need to connect with. So they are there for you. They do have that time for you, and they have that ability to answer these questions. And if they don't, they ask me, and they are the ones who can reach out directly to me and can do that. So I love that. And I want to say thank you to our amazing Google partners. I do see Marla with REI Women's Business Center in the house. We've been working on webinars together for a very long time, all the way through from before 2020 and then all the way through. But we've got a lot of Google partners there. So think of who invited you, and I'll show you the slide again. And remember, that's there actually in the slide deck that I'm sharing with you, that you have access to through that link that I dropped in the chat. So we're going to talk about why export. Now, no, the Market Finder is talking about business that you can do domestically. So that's across the United States, as well as Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, and then also internationally, Europe, over to South America, over to Mexico. Okay, so what is it? We're going to talk about that, how to explore markets, planning your operations, marketing your business, and recapping resources. So how many of you are in the international business? Let me know by using the letter Y in there that you're in the international business. I would love to know who's already there. There are so many considerations when you're international. You have everything from warehouses, language, time zone challenges, how you're going to handle customer service, the different skill sets in your actual customer being able to work with you, shipping. Do not believe, I've done a lot of business in Australia, do not believe that they can get everywhere in 24 hours. Do not believe those FedEx commercials, because not everywhere in Australia can get there. And if you open up a warehouse in Australia, that doesn't mean you can quickly ship to New Zealand. It's very expensive to do that. And there are many ports that do not handle actual shipments from Australia. So it's a big thing. I see some people here with e-commerce or with international businesses, not necessarily e-commerce. All right, I would love to hear more about what your business is. Feel free to put that in the chat because we never know who somebody is, who they'll become, or who they influence. All right. And then I'll always end with recap and resources. So do know that everything that I'm talking about today is 100% free. You have access to it, a lot of these things through your free personal Gmail account. So you don't need a Google Workspace paid account, just your free personal Gmail account. And if you don't have a Gmail account, you might need to start a Google account. They're again 100% free. You'll use your current email. It doesn't change it to Gmail. And then you'll create a password. And like any other password protected site online, that's how you'll get to things. And then I'll share with you other free recaps and resources, or I'll do a recap and share other free resources with you. Okay. I've got planning future international real estate, mostly commercial and residential. Thank you, Lydia, for sharing your business with us. I love to hear that and see that in the chat. I appreciate that very much. So why do we export? Well, we see this in 2017. I actually looked at the latest report. I'm going to bring that up for you. I'm going to do a live. Let me just bring this up real quick so I can show it to you. So you can see the latest report, and actually I'm going to drop that in the chat so you can see the latest report from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. All right, let me bring this up real quick so we can see. Here we go. There we go. So you can see, I know it's super tiny, but it's now supporting 3 million American jobs and 2.6 trillion. All right, 2.6 trillion. Because we went online fast. Oops, sorry about that. Let's go back to the presentation. We had a psychedelic moment there. Apologize for that. I was coming off the live screen. I've got a couple of screens here, so I apologize for that. Didn't mean to freak you out there, but you do have a link right there in the chat box, so you can go back to that and see the latest study that was actually just completed, I think a couple of weeks ago. So new markets could be what you're doing, and that's why you want to go internationally or spread out past your actual geographic borders of your state. And maybe there's more of a competitive advantage for you doing that. You know, when we started our e-commerce business, it was $100,000 the first year. Actually, the first year that we did this without any online marketing, then we went to online marketing. We grew to 300,000, then to 600,000 a year. It's now at $8.1 million a year. And we did expand past the US borders out into Mexico, into Canada, into the United Kingdom, and also to Australia. So we saw opportunity because we looked at the stats and we actually found who would be that best customer, who gives us the most pleasure and profit and gets us the most return on investment. And we were able to find them in other countries in great numbers. So that's why we decided to do business there. Plus, you have access to new talent pools. When you expand past the border of your state or even past the border of the United States into international waters, you have access to other talent pools. I've worked with many international teams, some of the best digital marketers in the UK, out in the Australia area, as well as in Singapore. So there's a lot of places where you can reach out to, or India. Also, there could be some government incentives that can help support us. So again, look at the reasons why you want to go internationally and how or why you want to go past your US borders, all right? So when we're selling overseas, example, so there's a little bit more logistics that happen overseas. So in the US, what's nice is we have a lot of good highways, good trains, and definitely a good transportation system. But when you're doing business internationally, you might be able to look at a more competitive manufacturer. They might have access to the actual materials much quicker than we would have in the United States and have to worry about it waiting in the port, just like what happened, you know, in 2020 and then even in 2022, as we started to do more shipping back and forth, things became log jammed really at the Long Beach port, at the US, the southern near Houston port, as well as the East Coast port. And then of course there were closing down of ports in some of the different countries. So we have to look at that. We need to look at distributor, we need to look at buyer, and we need to also take into mind the fact that the maritime laws are changing, especially with ocean noise and ocean pollution. There's a lot of changes. So there's some ports that won't even accept some of the ships that are coming in from different countries. We also need to understand MOQ, the minimum order quantity, because that could be a big decision maker for us on who we're going to do business with. And then we have to consider things like drayage. You may not even know about drayage. It was one of the hard lessons that I learned first time in international e-commerce, is that nobody just takes it from the boat to the port. They don't take it off the boat, and they don't take it from the actual truck that goes to your warehouse into the warehouse. The warehouse stays in their building or on their ramp. The trucker stays in theirs. So drayage is actually what it means to take it from there. Somebody has to take it from the truck and put it in there. And there's all sorts of costs associated with that. So how would your business benefit? For you, as you're looking at your business, how would that benefit by exporting, okay? And dealing with and having to deal with other international laws, customs, and even calendars. Because there's sometimes, for example, if you're doing business in China and it's Chinese New Year, that the manufacturing facilities there shut down for actually a month. When it is Chinese New Year, it is shut down for a month. So you have to do a lot of planning if you plan on doing business out in China. So what products and services could you offer? So if you're exporting or even importing your manufacturing and materials from there, what products and services could you offer, and what questions do you have? Start writing those down. What I love about the Google partners that I just listed out there to you is that they actually focus on this. So they have a lot of resources statewide or even nationwide to be able to help and support you as you grow. So what is Google Market Finder? All right, so Google Market Finder actually helps you explore markets. This could be domestic, again, within the United States borders, or it could be also international. And there's a lot of statistics and research that you need to do that's already at your fingertips through Market Finder. We find that most of the consumers live outside of the United States. So if you're doing great business here and you feel like you've really, you've used and you've actually reached out and are already past the US borders, you feel like you've gotten every single target audience that you can get here, and you've been able to saturate that part of the market, then you might want to reach out internationally where you could have other actual clients. So Google Market Finder starts you here. All right. So if your business doesn't involve tangible items, yeah, absolutely. The digital scope. So if you look at, I'm going to drop this again in the chat. If you missed it, it was the article from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. That's the biggest growth area, is digital marketing products. So digital products that do not have to worry about shipping, being able to cross borders. But we need to understand taxing and how money's accepted there. You know, is Klarna available if you're doing the payment or there's an extended pay afterwards? Is any of that available? Do you have to have a bank in that actual area or an international bank? So your small town credit union might not be able to handle exactly what you're doing internationally. So you need to look at all of that beforehand. You don't want to find out after your money's been hostage somewhere with a bank or with Stripe or Klarna or PayPal, and now will not transfer you because it doesn't have the ability to be able to do that without certain legal documents from that country. Okay, so now with a physical product, Strider is one that did and actually used physical products and were able to export, right? They use YouTube quite a bit, and if you don't know, YouTube is owned by Google, so it is also a search engine, the #2 search engine in the world, and the #2 social network. And it's important for you to know that, because search is important for all of us to understand, be a physical product or a digital product, since 84% of us go here to a mobile device when we're ready to know, go, do, or buy. And that's actually more prominent in the European countries. They used apps well before we did. They're so over it, and now, you know, they're more into apps now. They're over text messaging. They were in text messaging way before we were. So we have to really look at those markets that we're looking at, and are they aligned exactly with what we're doing with the US, or do we need to change our skill set? So we do need to have an international growth strategy, be it again a digital product or an actual physical product. And then we need to build our operations. So even if you have a digital product, what's your operation going to be like? Do you have the actual software that can start either having tripwires in it? So email marketing, where there's tripwires, where if they do this, then this. Do you have that already set up? Do you have your funnel set up? Are you set up language wise? How about customer service? How about delivery? Are you talking about, different time zones? So again, make sure your setup is set for that, because that will help you make some good business decisions when you have analytics that are truly picking up all the details and information like the actual time zone you're in. And now you can start scaling, branding, and advertising across borders. This is the same thing with the United States. You will be amazed that the time zones in the United States trip people up all the time. I know we've all been guilty of it. I was very guilty of it for a long time before I got some apps that could help me out. But you can even go into Indiana, and this side of the river is on Eastern, this side of the river is on Central. So even one city to the next. So it doesn't mean just in the state, it can actually change from city to city. So it's important for us to know the marketplaces that we're considering. So as we explore markets, you can go to Google's Market Finder. You'll get there by going to g.co/market finder, and then you'll click Get Started. Once you click Get Started, you can do this before you are even logged into your Google account, but for you to get the full, very robust plan and strategy from and information that you want from Market Finder, you will need to be logged into a Google account. Remember what I said about you can just get a free Google account, but Gmail is already a free personal Google account, so you're good to go with a Gmail account. So when you get started, it's going to give you a short quiz to really take through and find out how much you already have thought through and what you may need to think through in expanding past the borders of your state or within a different country. You'll put your actual website address here. So you can do this as well. If you have a digital product, put that in there. Check the box that you agree to the terms and conditions. If you don't do that, you're going to stay right here at this slide. Then you're going to go ahead and click continue. You'll see some call out bubbles there that you have a chance now to confirm categories. Google's going to look at your actual website, and from Google's history and experience of millions of websites, it's going to define what your category is. But you as a human being have that opportunity to say, yes, that's me, or no, that's not me. So you'll see here, let me bring that up front and center. See how like cycling for Strider bikes has a little X by it? If that was not a part of their actual business or their industry, Google was not reading it correctly, they could just X that out. And if you look at the very bottom to the right, but above the blue bottom that says the blue button that says confirm categories, you'll see add a category. All right, so if you add a category here, then now you could click and add your specific categories. So again, we need to remember that this human filter, when we're dealing with even Google history, Google's algorithm, or even AI, artificial intelligence, nothing can beat our human experience and what we have, that knowledge we have of our best customer or the best market. So do take the time to actually add categories here so you can get the most from this. Garbage in, garbage out, right? So we want to put good information in so we get good research out, okay? Oh, I understand. No worries. This is actually Google Market Finder, so it is using Google, but for this specific reason, for going out to be able to expand past your borders of the United States or past your state, all right? So no worries. If this isn't what you thought it was going to be, no worries. You're not hurting my feelings at all, but this is, we do have other sessions about how you can actually just use Google and Google search. So where do you want to expand your business? All right, so this is the next step that happens after you enter and your website, and then after you choose your categories, now you get to let Google know where do you want to sell. Do you want it in the United States, but you're just crossing your borders, your state border, or are you going to go globally? So then you would click on one of those two, either the Statue of Liberty or the Eiffel Tower and the Tower of London, and now it will recommend markets to you. Excuse me, sorry. I wanted to clear that out. All right, so you're going to recommend, it's going to recommend markets, and you can see it's recommending the top 3 markets. Now, if you know, all right, I just don't want to do business in Germany, even though it's the #1, then you can X that out and choose another one. So it will give you a list of actually all of the first 25 in order. Okay, so that's exactly how you can feel about that. Yeah, Alyssa, if you want one about SEO, I do a lot of sessions on that. Make sure you get with the Google partner that invited you, or connect with me, follow our events tab of our on my site, and you'll see that when you get the email that you registered with, it will send out the recording and it'll have all that information for you. Okay, so now it'll recommend you markets. So again, this could be within the United States that it's recommending you. So maybe you don't want to target your ads towards all of the US. because that could be a lot of spend that you have to focus on to try to get the entire United States and not dilute that message and to be able to compete with everybody else. So maybe you want to look and see, you know what, maybe Maryland, Maryland, up in Baltimore, Maryland might be the best target place for me. And I don't need to spend my ad spend on other places because that would be a waste of money. They don't have the best customer that I am looking for in my target audience in great numbers. So maybe that's how I'm going to make my decision. So do know that even though this may not be specific to SEO and search, this helps you make great decisions on your targeting. And when your message is targeted and when your ads are targeted, you can see more bang for your buck and you have a great opportunity to connect with the market better, which is why I even use Market Finder, even though I may not be doing an international business if I'm coaching or consulting with a business. So now, if you don't have a Google account, you'll see that call out button at the very bottom will say to sign up for Google. Hey, I wanted to take a moment to give a shout out to our sponsor, Shortform, which is a wonderful tool to help you be able to work smarter, not harder, by being able to take tremendous amount of information and get to the actual gist of it. Really, all of the key points from blog publications to articles to actual videos in YouTube to books. You have all of that available to you through Shortform, and I've got a free trial available for you utilizing this link. Every week I do the Google update, which every Wednesday the audio format comes out in our free community, and then on Thursdays you get it by email. How I'm able to do that because I look at 65 to 70 different sources, again from video to actual articles and publication, is I'm able to utilize Shortform to help summarize and look at exactly what is the key points that would be of most interest to me and whether or not I should delve in deeper so that I can apply how you can actually apply that as a small business and content creator, making the most use of an update for you. I utilize Shortform. Feel free to use this link for your free trial. If you decide to subscribe also using that link, you'll get 20% off, which is great because for the price of one book, you have access to all of this, and it truly is very focused and complete. It is the best tool that I get to use, and I wanted to share it with you. Thank you again to Shortform for sponsoring many of the audios in this video. Now, you can sign up. Once you sign up, or if you have a Gmail account, just refresh. It will recognize your credentials. Now you're going to select those markets so you can make a little bit more decisions there now that you're logged into your Google account. And once you do that, then it'll actually email you a complete report. So what this looks like, let me bring this up live so we can look at it live, and I'll try not to give you guys a psychedelic moment again, but let's go ahead and bring this up. And I'm going to make things bigger here. Just give me a moment while I switch to another screen. All right. So if I go to g.co/market finder, we'll see that come up. And if somebody in the chat box, let's see, go ahead and get started. Let me know your business website address. This is for demonstration purposes, so you're going to be our sample right now. If you want to drop your actual website address in the chat, let me know. All right, I see you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're fast there. Let's go ahead and bring that up. I'm going to take that. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to click I understand and then click continue. Okay. It's not telling me categories, Alyssa, so it's not picking that up from your site. You want to tell me a little bit about your business? You do digital consulting, or I might have the wrong person. So let me know in the chat box, and then we'll add that here in the category. So we'll click add category. And women's apparel accessories. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so let's see. We're looking at clothing, so we've got apparel here, and you said it's so it's clothing and accessories. So I'm going to say clothing, and then I'm going to say accessories, And is it jewelry too? Oh, jewelry. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Alyssa. All right, I'm going to confirm those categories. Now, do know you can add more. Like if I were to go here, see how even more specific it gets? So we can get that more specific, but I'm not going to do that right now for demonstration purposes. I'm just going to go ahead and confirm these categories. Once I can, and this does not mess you up, by the way, Alyssa, you can do this on your own. So because I'm not logged into your Google account, this is about as far as I'll be able to go, other than saying, do you want to sell more within the United States? Or are you looking at globally? Let me know, Alyssa, in the chat box. Thank you so much for being our our example today, focusing on the US. All right, so we're going to say within the US. And there we go. I was going to say Germany's not in the US. There we did the switch. Now it just takes a little bit longer because I am live and broadcasting. But you can see now it's saying that California is the best marketplace right now, the richest one for what you're looking at. When I hover over, see how it says 30 million searches for your categories that you're looking at. Google ads there's a lot of Google ads running there, but will be high spend, so that you know the consumer spending is about 46,981 and 49 ease of doing business. All right, so that's the ranking of the ease of doing business. So it might be a harder market compared to Texas. So let's hover over Texas. There's less searches. So you see why it chose California over Texas, because it's 30 million searches compared to 26 million. All right, so you see 26 million there, the spending per capita, but look at the difference of ease of doing business. So if I had to worry about taxes, government entities, maybe government regulations. So if I look at California, it's number 49 out of the, I'm going to say 51 states, because I'm going to include Puerto Rico in there. Since you see that on the map, look below, you see Alaska and actually Hawaii. I'm going to include Hawaii. I don't see Puerto Rico there. So it's Alaska and Hawaii. Texas, so Texas is number 1. New York is number 47. So we might want to change these out when we make decisions on where our market's actually going to be. Maybe we're not wanting to worry about too much government regulation. We're a one-man band for our business, so we don't want to get caught up doing a lot of paperwork. So we might want to walk through and work through this, or you might want to reach out to the Google partner that invited you and see if they can get more specific. But once you choose this and you see what those are, you can make those decisions or wait to see the research that you get from Google Market Finder. Now, remember what I said, the next place I'm going to go, I cannot, because it says complete new profile. And now I will actually have to be logged into your actual account where you're at. So I'd have to say where the domestic market is that I'm right now, what state I'm in. So that would be you, Alyssa. And then you would say whether or not you want to be updated by any email updates on those specific markets. And you can look at your categories here to confirm. And now you'll sign up with Google. Again, if you have a free personal Gmail or free Google account, you're good to go. Okay. So I just wanted to give you that so you could see that actually what it looks like live in action, but I cannot take you further than that because I'm not going to log into Alyssa's account or into my account because it's going to skew it by my businesses that I have. So when we view country profiles in this actual example here on this slide, it's showing you what it looks like internationally. Okay. Do know, Alyssa, that if you had chosen California, or you wanted to go with that list, California, Texas, and New York, then you would see this actually showing California first. You'll see in the left, it'll show the existing market. So if you would have said you're already in the Texas market, it would show you existing market here. And then it would show you the 3 potentials of California, Texas, or let's say you're not in Texas, because it pulled up Texas here and I was incognito, so it's not picking up my Texas IP address. So it could be that you say that you were in West Virginia, and now it's saying California, and it would say Texas and then New York. So it would pick up those 3 if those are the 3 you wanted to go with. And now you could go here and see the profile of each state. So while the example is showing country, do know that you can still do this domestically. That's what we decided to do in Alyssa's case because that was her focus area. It'll tell you population size, of course, language spoken, really easy here for domestic US. Currency, corruption percentage index. What is that? So that is how much sometimes a country you have to worry about different inspectors, unknown fees. Sometimes you have shipments that only 75% of the shipments actually make it to their actual location. So there's a lot of losing things in the shipment process, or lots of thievery. It could be that when things go into your warehouse, then it's maybe just average that they see a lot of that lost, or there could be some other regulations that are specific by even the county or the specific city that you're in. Again, you'll see that corruption percentage index. That means as it's higher, there's more corruption there. So you have to think about what kind of loss are you comfortable with as you grow your business, okay? And then also what the median age is, so what's the average age, and also the population breakdown of that age, okay? Now, when we're looking at economic profiles, again, for Alyssa, she wanted to look at a specific state, but here in this example, we're looking at a country. So we're looking at what the gross domestic product is, the per capita. So you may want to know for a state, what is their product? You know, the state of Texas, it could be oil, it could be cattle. So again, you can look at the annual growth, what the household disposable income is. This does apply also still to digital businesses because people have to pull from their actual money and what disposable money they have to do business with us. But now, even with those of us who are digital, we can have a look at their online profiles to see how many are searching for that specific product or that service that you provide, what is happening with Google Ads, what the average bid is, so you can start planning realistically and not just throwing money away, because it's heartbreaking when I see people who don't look at this kind of research and they don't understand maybe Google Ads are super expensive because it's highly competitive, or they decide to, let's say, promote on July 16th, Prime Day. That's not the day to promote because everybody knows that's the #1 shopping day of the US. Beyond any other shopping day is when Amazon has their Amazon Prime Day. And for those of us in the digital business, we know we'll pay the most for ads on that day. It's just like trying to compete with big box brick and mortar stores during the holidays. You pay the most for your ad spend then. So it's important for you to know that, because if you're planning a budget of $500 and let's say that in that state people are spending on average $1,500 to $1,700 on Google Ads, why would we spend $500 just to throw it out in the wind if we are not going to be able to compete? So we might have to rethink our strategy, use more email marketing, look more maybe even at social to see what the social spend is. Maybe Bing is the place to go, because people are utilizing that a lot with AI. We need to look at and make all those decisions, but having this information brings up the opportunity for us to ask questions and to be able to apply the superpower that we know of our own business and what those questions are, what the active internet population is, and if they're using Android or iOS. Maybe you have an app with your business and you're trying to make a decision even to expand out, and whether or not you need to expand and customize that app for different countries or different states. But does it need to be on Android? So is it Android or is it iPhone, iOS? What is it? So we need to know that. Then we can also look at our purchase behavior. So you'll see the tabs here that the little call out button is actually bringing up of the areas in Google Market Finder that you have access to. So you can find out by device, their purchase behavior, their internet usage, and their weekly usage, which gives you a better look into your market. And understand it's on us. It's truly on us to be experts on our customers. No matter where they're located, no matter where we decide to expand, that responsibility is on us to be those experts and really understand their buyer behavior, their needs, and all of the different environmental obstacles that could even be in the way of them being able to buy from us, right? So when we look at logistics, that's one of the last tabs there. What's it like trading across borders? What's the time involved? If you're doing business in China, you're waiting now for 8 weeks that something's on the boat, minimum. So when you look at that, let's say you're doing some drop shipping from Alibaba or from Temu, then think about that. Do they have that set up with their affiliate, and are they fast enough? And is it the kind of quality that you're looking for? If you're importing products or if you're exporting, are you putting that into play? Or are you trying to be Amazon and say you can do it and ship out in 24/7, and now you have to eat the cost of not being able to live up to those expectations that you set for customers? And then also now have to eat the bad reputation, the horrible negative reviews, and all those things. Your prominence score, so your quality score, all affect what you're paying for in Google Ads, as well as where you show up in search. You're penalized if you're not doing good business and if your content doesn't align with what truly is happening. So you say we deliver in 24/7, but everybody's saying it takes 8 weeks, then there's going to be a disconnect and you're going to show up lower because Google sees that it's not quality information. So the time to export, we need to know that. The cost to import, what is the compliance that we need to also consider there too. It can also help us from operations standpoint. So we might be ready to go, right? We're all ready and raring to go, but we might not have everything in place to make sure all that's going to happen. And because we would like to sleep sometime, it can't all be on us. So we need to understand the local market, be it domestic or international. How are we going to handle payments? How are we going to handle customer care? There's nothing more really real. It's definitely humbling when you have somebody from another country. The first time we expanded to Australia, and they're like, "Why are you guys closed? We need help with our shipment, and you're closed." Who cares if it's the thing? It's Thanksgiving. In fact, I'll have to tell you real quick. Funny story. We actually had a customer in Australia get so mad at us because the warehouse was closed in Australia for Thanksgiving, and they believed that Thanksgiving was a farce. That in Australia they didn't have Thanksgiving, so why were we closed then? It didn't matter that we were a US business. So we hadn't thought that part out yet. You don't want to do that when you've got customers breathing down your neck and wanting answers. You want to do that ahead of time, because all the things that you can control ahead of time will help you be available and your mind clear for all those things you can't control. So the logistics, talent recruitment, all of the taxes and legal, you can actually look at that within Market Finder and look at your operational area. So you'll see that tab being called out there with that bubble, and look and see, what does it take to localize the business? What are the different aspects of the countries? What do they value? Some of you may have heard that if you've been in a session with me before. For example, if you know there's a movie that talks about that, where the actual spy was given away because he was in Germany, and they asked a question and he said three. In Germany, the custom is to say three this way, not this way. They might have local customs in Japan that are a whole lot different from the US. You can definitely offend somebody if you try to tip them in Japan. That's not a tipping culture. So they don't like that. So you have to think about what and how you're doing business, how you're going to handle global payments. Are they going to release your payments? Because I will tell you, it doesn't matter whether they can pay you in US dollars or even pay to a US account or transfer it. They'll still take your money and they'll hold it hostage until you figure that part out. So nobody's going to do that for you. It's on you. Also, customer care. How are you going to do that? How will you manage it? How will you know that somebody who is thousands of miles away is doing what they need to do? Do you have Slack set up? Do you have an email account with your actual email? So if you're an ABC company, do you have their name at abccompany.com? Do they have access that they need, either with logistics, with your ticketing system, your customer ticketing system, to your socials, to be able to provide and DM and let them know what the tracking number is of something that you're sending them? And then, of course, who do you need there? And what laws do you need to consider? Because all of that, country recruitment requirements are different. And expanding to other countries, there's a lot different expectations. There's different holidays that we need to take all into consideration. So things to consider is, what do you need to be concerned about? And then also, what resources can you find here already with Market Finder, and see that information, so that can help you now formulate more questions and make some good decisions to help you grow your business faster. All right. So as you market your business, again, how do you advertise? How are you going to measure that within the global market, or even across the United States? Because we're quite different. If you're doing business in Louisiana and there's more of a Cajun population, or if you decide to go to Canada and you're in Quebec, where there's more French spoken than English, we have to keep that in mind, how we're actually putting everything out there. So as we market our business, you'll see that tab called out there to how you can market, and take a look at marketing with a strategy and what you need to measure. What are some of the considerations at the different countries or different states that you're looking at? Different analytics that you need to really know and understand, that if you are not measuring, you are not marketing. $1 or 1 minute spent, because I know social seems free, but your time is worth something. So $1 or 1 minute spent that is not lifting your bottom line or getting you closer to your goal, is $1 or 1 minute spent too much? And it's important for us to know how we're going to measure that. What are our margins? It kills me every time I hear people with ads tell me, oh, our return on ad spend is 2, so our ROAS is 2. When I know that, they're spending $1, then they've got $1 margin in profit, but they still have to consider their staff, their warehousing, what they're paying for people to create those ads as well. And then even just to keep the lights on. So they have to think of their overhead, and it's less, they're not making any money. It looks like they're making money, and then they're wondering why their bank account is slowly dwindling. Don't wonder about that. Make some good strategic decisions so you know exactly what kind of margin you have and what you're getting in contribution from the actual revenue that you're getting. So now you can look at your advertising. Is it search? Are people more on Google search, or are they using, like in the UK, they use apps more than anything? It's really hard to get them in search, but keep that in mind. That will help you make better decisions and then help you find a trusted partner once you know what your goals are. You don't want to have to pay for somebody to guess that for you, because now that's where you can get into some dangerous spots where it'll be highly expensive for you. No worries, Maria. I understand that absolutely. That's why I'm so glad we're recording it, because you might want to listen to it again, or at least catch some of the pieces that you may have missed when you were distracted with something or you had to step away. So your next steps are to go to Google Market Finder. So you'll see it there, g.co/market finder, and then do that research and planning. Remember what I said, it's domestic, so it can be reaching across to different states to do business with, or it is international, reaching across internationally to other countries. If you want to connect with me, then you can connect with me in our membership, because I do answer questions there. I'll be in there today at 4:30 answering questions about Google Market Finder or anything Google. So a lot of people like to ask me questions about ads, SEO, about even citations, how you do citations, how do you optimize your YouTube channel. They'll ask me all sorts of questions like that. That's where I answer those questions. But you have an amazing resource to you, which is your Google partners. So know that we are going to be on a little bit of a break here. So the next session, this is Webinar Wednesday, that happens every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, but we're not going to have another session till July 24th, when it's part 2 of Make Your Website Work for You. And do understand that if you miss part 1, you're not going to be heavily confused in part 2, because we're going to cover other things that we couldn't cover in the quick 1-hour session before. So this is part 2. And you can start with part 2 and go back to part 1. That's what I love about the sessions that we do. If you want me to come in for anything else, just get with a Google partner who invited you, and they could make sure to invite me back for something else. But do know that our next public session that is funded and actually supported by your Google partners is July 24th. So that's the next one for our Webinar Wednesday. And if I have been helpful to you, I do want to actually showcase to you what I talk about all the time, which is ask for reviews. Anytime you've given good information or good service, that's the time to ask. Those reviews are so heavy in search and how things show up and where you rank. So it's important to do that. You don't have to give me a review, but I would be honored if you did. I would love for you to, but you do not have to. And then if you want to connect with me, this is how you can connect with me. But again, I'm going to get you to the slide here in a minute where I'll show you the Google partners. That way you can work with those Google partners and reach out and find out who locally can be there to support you. Okay, so now we're going to go into Q&A, but let me go to that slide with the Google partners on it. Let's get to that. So they're front and center for you. Take a screenshot of that, or again, one last time, let me drop it here, how you can get a copy of the slides and the handout right away. But when the session ends, they're not going to be available, and they will be emailed to you with a recording. And that will be later this afternoon, and it'll be emailed to the email address that you registered with. Okay? All right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.